carbon and its compound. In this chapter, we will be studying about carbon, its allotropic forms, and hydrocarbons. Basically, this chapter belongs to organic chemistry. So as I told that it is a chapter from organic chemistry, so try to understand what is organic compounds. So let us study what are the sources of organic compounds. Organic compounds, we get it from plants, we get it from animals also. When we talk about animals, proteins, fats, oils, so we get proteins in the form of eggs, mutton, chicken, beef, fish. So these are all sources of protein. Protein is an organic compound. Similarly, fats and oil, we get it in the form of milk, butter and cheese. Basically, the compounds which are forming milk, butter or cheese are also organic compounds. Now let's talk about plants. Plants, whether it's living or non-living. So let's first talk about living plants. From living plants we get it carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, oils. Carbohydrates, wheat, maize, potato, barley, rice. So all these are forms of carbohydrates and all these are basically organic compounds. Proteins, similarly, we get proteins from pulses and beans are also organic compounds. Vitamin, we get it from fruits like apple, banana, oranges and many more such examples of fruits. All vitamin molecules are also organic in nature. Oil, palm oil, olive oil, soybean, peanut oil, sunflower and many more oils that we get from plants are all organic in nature. Dead plants, when they get buried under the earth for millions of years, they undergo certain changes and get changed into coal, petroleum and natural gases. Now when they get transformed into coal, petroleum and gases, still they are organic compounds. Now after studying so many examples of organic compound, what is basically organic compounds? Because we study organic and inorganic compounds. So let me tell you in a very simple way. Organic compounds means compounds which are made up of hydrocarbons. Means the compound should have carbon and hydrogen. So these two elements should be there. If any third or the fourth element is present, okay, but the carbon and hydrogen should be there, only then they will be called as organic compounds. Inorganic compounds, the compounds which are made up of any other elements. So we have more than 108 elements known till now. So whatever possible combinations are formed with the remaining all the elements, they are called as inorganic compounds. We have a separate branch of chemistry to study organic compounds and a separate branch of chemistry to study inorganic compounds. So we call them as organic chemistry and inorganic chemistry. So in this chapter we are basically going to study about organic compounds and specifically again in a simpler form if I say we will be studying about hydrocarbons. Earlier people used to think that organic compounds have some special vital forces and they can be formed in plants and animals only. We cannot prepare them in the lab, but later on scientists came to know that it is not true. Organic compounds can be made in laboratory also, and the very first organic compound that was made in laboratory was urea. In class 9th, you have studied about atomic number, atomic masses, electronic configuration. So we'll have a quick recap of that. So let's have a look on the first 20 elements. The first, hydrogen, has atomic number 1. So the first shell will only have 1 electron. Helium, atomic number 2. So the first shell is having 2 electrons and the first shell is now fully complete because the maximum capacity of first shell is 2. Lithium, 3. First shell will have 2, second 1. Beryllium, atomic number 4. First shell will have 2, second shell will have 2. Boron, atomic number 5. First shell will have 2 and the second shell will have 3. Carbon, atomic number 6. First shell is having 2 electrons, second is having 4. Nitrogen, atomic number 7. First shell is having 2 electrons, second is having 5. Oxygen, atomic number 8. First shell is having 2 electrons, second shell is having 6 electrons. Fluorine, having atomic number 9. First shell will have 2 electrons and the second shell is going to have 7. Neon, atomic number 10. First shell is having 2 electrons and the second shell is having 8. So now here is an interesting fact that you need to see, that neon is lucky enough is having atomic number 11. Why neon is lucky? Because the first shell is complete and the second shell is also complete. Now when any element has a complete shell, that atom is stable. You can see that helium also have atomic number 2. So the first shell is complete. Now similarly, when we have a look on argon has atomic number 18. First shell 2 fully filled. Second 8 fully filled. Third shell having 8. So the third shell is either stable at having 8 electrons, or if the third shell has 18, then it's stable. So now these 3 elements if we look at, they are lucky enough that their electronic configuration is in such a way that they have a completely filled outermost shell. But every atom is not lucky enough that their outermost shell is fully filled. Now the other atoms, they want that their outermost shell should also be complete. So in order to achieve that situation, in order to complete their octet, what do? They either lose electron, either they gain electron, or they share electron. So whenever an atom loses or gains electron, we say that an ionic bond is formed. This we studied in lesson metals and non-metals. But if an atom is not in a situation to lose electron or share electron, what can an atom do? Then an atom gets involved in sharing of electrons, and we say that covalent bonds are formed. Let us take an example. Let us talk about sodium. Sodium has 11 atomic number. 2 electrons in the first shell, second having 8 electrons, and the third shell is having 1 electron. Now as a third shell, either is stable at 8 electrons or 18. Now for sodium it's really very difficult to get 7 electrons from somewhere. So an atom can lose or gain only 1 electron or 2 electron, or at the maximum 3 electrons. Now what can sodium do? So sodium loses 1 electron, and as soon as sodium loses 1 electron, now this shell becomes empty. Now this shell is having 8. So which one will be the outermost? Now after losing, this one will be the outermost. Now the electronic configuration will be 2 and 8 after losing 1 electron. Now in this situation, the outermost shell is filled. So to attain stability, sodium, what does sodium do? Loses 1 electron. So the elements which have a tendency to lose electron like this, they are called as metals. Similarly, if you talk about magnesium, magnesium will also prefer to lose 2 electrons so that the electronic configuration will become 2, 8 and the outermost shell is fully filled. Similarly, aluminium is also a metal, will prefer to lose 2 electrons. And if you talk about nitrogen, nitrogen has 7 atomic numbers. So first shell is having 2 and the second shell is having 5. So nitrogen cannot lose 5 electrons. None of the atom can lose 5 electrons. As I told that only 1, 2 or 3 electrons can be given or they can be taken. So what does nitrogen do? Nitrogen prefers to gain 3 electrons so that this shell will be complete. After gaining 3 electrons, nitrogen's electronic configuration will be 2 and 8. So in order to complete the outermost shell, atoms lose electron or gain electron. But let us take an example of carbon. Carbon has atomic number 6. So the electronic configuration is 2 and 4. Now carbon is not in a situation to lose 4 electrons nor gain 4 electrons. Why? We'll be studying in the next slide in detail, so that you can understand that if carbon cannot lose or gain electrons, so what does carbon? Now let us understand what does neutral atoms do in order to obtain a noble gas configuration so that they become similar to noble gas. So neutral atoms, either they lose electron or they gain electron so that they attain the noble gas configuration. So reactivity of elements is explained as their tendency to obtain a completely filled outer shell, that is, attain noble gas configuration. Elements forming ionic compounds achieve this by either gaining or losing electrons from the outermost shell. But other than losing and gaining electrons to obtain the noble gas configuration, there is one more way of obtaining the noble gas configuration. So let us study that. Electronic configuration of carbon is 2,4. In the case of carbon, it has 4 electrons in its outermost shell and need to gain or lose 4 electrons to attain noble gas configuration. If it were to gain or lose electron 1, it could gain 4 electrons forming a carbon anion, but it would be difficult for the nucleus with 6 protons to hold on the 10 electrons, that is 4 electrons extra. So it becomes really very difficult for a nucleus having 6 protons to hold 10 electrons. So it is not very stable. Second situation, it could lose 4 electrons forming a carbon cation, but it would require a large amount of energy to remove 4 electrons, leaving behind a carbon cation with 6 protons in its nucleus holding on just 2 electrons. So the second situation is also practically not possible. So both the situation doesn't actually exist. Carbon overcomes this problem by sharing its valence electrons with other atoms of carbon or with atoms of other elements. Now we have understood that carbon is always involved in covalent bonds. Ionic bonds are practically not possible in carbon. What is a covalent bond then? A covalent bond is a bond formed by sharing of electrons between atoms. In a covalent bond, the shared pair of electrons belongs to the valence shell of both the atoms. Let's have a look on one of the molecule. तो इसमें दोनों को ज़्यादा क्लियरली बॉन्डिंग को समझने के लिए दोनों के इलेक्ट्रॉन्स को अलग अलग सिंबॉलिक तरीके से दिखाया हुआ है। जैसे कार्बन के जो इलेक्ट्रॉन्स हैं उनको डॉट से दिखाया हुआ है, 1 2 3 and 4. As you know, it has 4 valence electron, so they are shown with the help of a dot. And in the previous slide we have already studied that it's not going to involve in ionic bonds, lose या gain electrons नहीं करेगा, so it will be always be involved in covalent bonds and it will always form 4 bonds, so we call it as a tetravalent. So tetra stands for 4. Now let's have a look on the structure of carbon dioxide. This is the atom of oxygen. So oxygen has 6 valence electron, 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. So oxygen needs 2 more electrons and carbon needs 4 more electrons. So 2 electrons from oxygen and 2 electrons from carbon will be involved in sharing. So this portion will be considered common for both the atoms. So it will be counted for both. So these 2 are of carbon and these 2 are of oxygen, but it will be counted, these 4 electrons will be counted for both this atom as well as this. So if we talk about oxygen, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. So now oxygen atom is stable. Now let's have a look on this oxygen. Similarly, from this oxygen also 2 electrons will be engaged in bonding. The remaining 4 will not be engaged in bonding. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. So now this oxygen is also stable because it's also having now 8 electrons. Now let's have a look on carbon. So carbon will also have now 8. Let's count 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. So this is how you get a formula of carbon dioxide. So in a carbon dioxide there are 3 atoms involved, 1 atom of carbon and 2 atoms of oxygens are involved, and there is a covalent bonding. Now one more thing here you need to know is that if you look at this portion, how many electrons are involved? 4, or you can say 2 pairs of electrons are involved. That means there will be a double bond between carbon and this oxygen. So you can use either of the word, either you can say 4 electrons are involved or you can say 2 pairs of electrons are involved. So carbon will form a double bond with oxygen over here. Similarly, this carbon is going to form double bond with this oxygen also because again 4 electrons are involved. So 2 bonds with this oxygen and 2 bonds with this oxygen. So on the whole total 4 bonds are formed by carbon atom. So that's why it's called as a tetravalent. Now when we have a look on the oxygen, it's forming only 2 bonds because its valency is 2. Organic chemistry is the child of medicine, and however far it may go on its way with its most important achievements, it always returns to its parent.